let's get this straight right away. If you rely on mainstream coverage to understand the US-Israel war, you're not getting the full picture. You're getting fragments, framed narratives, and in some cases, you may get outright distortion. So let's talk about the strike. You have night bombings. This war didn't escalate. It was ignited. A coordinated US and Israeli strike, massive, deliberate, and designed to shock the system. Leadership targets, military infrastructure, strategic facilities. But let's not sanitize it. When you drop that level of force into a country, you don't just hit targets, you hit everything around it. And that includes civilians. And so we were told these missile strikes would cripple Iran, that they'd be knocked off balance, that deference would be restored, or deterrence would be restored. Sorry. Right? That didn't happen. Iran didn't collapse. It adapted. Missiles kept coming. Drones kept flying. Regional targets kept getting hit. Not because Iran is winning, but because it doesn't have to win. It just has to survive. And so we have to look at what success really means. Destroyed facilities. Pentagon briefings, the narrators tell us that how much they've destroyed. US and Israeli forces have degraded capabilities. That part is real. But here's what you're not being told clearly. Degraded does not mean eliminated. And it definitely does not mean that the war is over. Because Iran's military, their strategies seem to be built for exactly this scenario. To take the hit, absorb the damage, and keep striking back. Now let's talk about the people who don't make the headlines. Families, workers, children. People living under precision strikes. Infrastructure hit. Neighborhoods shaken. Lives permanently altered. And inside Iran, war doesn't weaken the state the way people think. It tightens control. It justifies crackdowns. It silences dissent. So if the goal was to foment internal collapse, that's not what the war tends to be producing. The war isn't over. But first thing we got to start thinking about our prices over here. This is not happening far away. It's happening here. Look again. Energy market spike. You feel it at the pump. Today I went to get gas and I can only use premium gas. So that's almost $5 a gallon in my little neck of the woods in New York. So you feel it at the pump. Supply chains tighten. You feel it in the store. This war travels, not through missiles, but through economics. Troop deployments, naval fleets, narrator. Here's the part no one wants to say out loud. Wars like this don't stay limited. They expand. More troops, more targets, more justified responses. Because once you cross the line into direct confrontation, you don't fully control what's coming next. You cannot. You cannot. This is not just about nuclear weapons. It's about power, regional dominance, strategic positioning, energy control. Every side is acting in what it calls its interest. What about your interest and my interest? And every side is shopping for a narrative that will play out in the public that justify their action. So here's the truth. Without a filter, the strike didn't end the threat. The retaliation didn't stop the war. Civilians are paying the price and escalation is still on the table. The drumbeat is there. The bravado, the hubris. If you're waiting for a clear story, a clear good side and bad side, you're going to be waiting a long time because in wars like this, clarity is the first thing that gets buried. The war you are not being shown. What's really happening between the US, Israel, and Iran? The truth beneath the headlines, this war is not what you think. It is way more nuanced. Of course, they're lying to you. Of course, they're lying to me. They're telling us how they're winning. But we know that the Straits of Hormuz is closed, and our government is saying that now we have to get the Iranians to open the strait. The straits were open. The Strait of Hormuz are open. It is the bombings that started that caused the Iranians to close down the Strait of Hormuz, and in some cases, it's not even closed. But the threat of its closure is enough to create havoc on the world energy supply, the world's fertilizer supply, the world's helium supply. All of those things are under threat. So listen, if you're one of them who listen to the mainstream media and you listen to Pete Hegseth or you listen to the president talking about how they have won already and all of that, if the war is won, why are we sending tens of thousands of troops? By some estimates, it's now reported that there are up to 50,000 troops in the Middle East. Let that sink in. All right. So if the war was won, we were told that their entire system was degraded, everything, their navy was gone, their military was destroyed, they had no air force, their air defenses systems were destroyed. Then why are we still there? Why are we still there? Why is the United States still there? The fact is, it was a lot of baloney, and you know it, and I know it, right? And when the Iran's foreign minister was asked, "What about American troops on the ground?" He said, "We're waiting for them." This is not this is not a war that we should be in, and the consequences for the world are far too grave, and we're going to start to feel it. But listen, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe, like this video, and share it to your friends. Thank you. Share it to your groups. Listen, we are going to start to feel the economic pain because everything gets hauled by something, and that requires energy to do it, mostly oil, gas, diesel. So since everything gets hauled, the price of everything is going to go up. But the system is way more complicated than that. Banking systems. There is so much that we should be paying attention to, that this war is going to create, so many problems that this war is going to create. We're not even beginning to understand it. We see we see the effects of the bombing. We can see the effects of war on the people who are struggling under it. But we too are going to suffer for this action, this unilateral action by Israel and the United States. This action that our president allowed Israel to drag him into. This is bad on all sides. Guys, like the video, please. Leave us a comment, share. Thank you very much. And I'll see you next time.